don't get to be on this.
Cam,
Though.
you're
I
not
know.
honest.
I have not been
You,
in
you
any of
prefer
these
You
videos.
get blocked out.
I'm totally fine
your
with that.
computer's on there. Oh,
No, it's
Cam, get your head in there.
get your head in there.
Okay.
Get your head in the game.
All right, let's do it.
So far, we've got 0 people watching.
All right.
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Dirty Lola, welcome to the
Dirty
show.
Lola. I should have wrote Dirty Lola. We got a lot
So
more head.
excited to have you. What a gift.
Oh,
What
thank
a
you for having
gift.
me.
That's so nice, Cam.
Well, we just got to see her perform or speak.
Perform. Yeah, what
It
do you
was kind of a
you sound
performance.
Like, it was a performance. It was
Kind of,
a
yeah.
presentation.
And it was all. It was. I think it was called Super Sluts.
Yes.
Yeah. We're at the Catalyst.
You were reclaiming the word slut.
Yes.
Much like my mother reclaims the word cougar.
I do.
Ooh.
I thought about that when.
When you were watching all this.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, do you know my definition of cougar?
Usually, well, I've always thought it was just older woman who chases after younger men, but I never thought
It's
that was
not.
a bad thing.
It's not even that though. It really, I found when I was single, the younger guys were approaching me way more than I was approaching that. So that's kind of like in itself, we're not the predators as a cougar. I just think of it as a confident, older, unique, genuine, assertive, and racy woman.
I like that.
There you
That's
go.
I like that. That's a
And-
mouthful, but I like it.
I know. And then I'd like to hear what you define being a slut is. It's
Well,
a good thing, first of all.
For me, it's a good thing. For some people, it's not, and it can still be triggering and
Yeah.
negative. But for me, my definition, which I shared in the presentation, is being unapologetically in love with your own sex life.
That's
How much
it.
do you like
Yeah.
that? Unapologetically in love with your own sex life.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a slut in that
I'm a
sense?
total slut. I've always been a slut. I
That's
think
great.
you know what?
That's how you got here.
Yeah, I guess so.
No,
Your
you know what it-
sluttiness, maybe.
I think it all boils down to like your first initial sexual experiences. And if you had really positive ones, which I did, I became into sex and unapologetically about it. Why wouldn't I be?
Yeah. Sometimes in the converse, people have like really negative ones,
Yeah.
and they kind of use it to like own it again, to like take back what
Oh.
was taken away,
Ooh,
or
yeah.
like rewrite those negative
Rewrite
experiences.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I find that I mean that's probably like where I'm coming from
Yeah.
a lot of it's like getting to a place where like that doesn't define me, and it's not going to define my sex life and how I move through the world, and so this is my way of like taking it back.
Why do you think it's so important to be in love with your own sex life?
Oh, I mean, because when you are in love with something, you take care of it and you cherish it, and and part of taking care of your sex life is being safe, practicing good consent, taking care of your body, and not being reckless with who you share it with or how you share it. And when I say reckless, I don't mean like because not sharing it with whoever, but it's like using protection or in all forms that you can, making sure you're making good healthy choices for yourself. Whereas when we don't like ourselves, we make bad decisions. We're reckless. People talk about going through like the worst patches in their life sexually where they were being super reckless and just doing whatever that led to other things. It's because they didn't love themselves, or
Yeah, I found that my friends that have like they're always falling, they're always doing something. They're not taking care of themselves.
right.
Falling.
Yes. And I had a friend who committed suicide, and she, was always injuring herself because she
Right.
just didn't take care of herself.
Right. Because
So-
you're not aware.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you don't care.
You don't care
Yeah.
to be aware. Yeah.
So you were talking about the hardest part about being a slut, and you said it was keeping up the pace.
Yeah.
She's very busy.
I resonated with it. I was
What?
Like, I did, because I was like, I can barely find time to go on one date with someone, let alone be a slut with a bunch of people.
Right.
Or
But being
many
a
ten-
slut doesn't necessarily mean you have sex with a ton of people. Because you can be a slut with
The
one
one person, but sometimes even that one person, that
takes
connecting.
yeah.
Like one of my partners is here this weekend, and like we've had sex more times this weekend in the last 2 days than I've had in the last month.
Where?
Like,
Where were you having your sex?
in our room, but like I think
Ah.
the first day we had sex twice. I think we had sex 3 times yesterday. Like we've just been having sex because we don't see each other. He lives on
Yeah.
the West Coast and I'm on the East Coast. So
Yeah, I did the long distance
Yeah.
thing. It's very passionate.
yeah, so it's being slutty with this one person, and like I've been sitting in talks sending him, I think during the opening keynote last night, I was like, I'm going to fuck you really hard, like sending things.
I
you
love
know, so
that.
being slutty.
Oh, that's what let's talk about dirty talk.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is what basically what
That's basically what
intrigued-
Mom is here. She
That's
wanted
what
to
she's
talk to
here
you
for.
about dirty talk. Seriously.
Totally. On the way here, I'm like, oh my God, I read your article.
She must have said it like 100 times to me.
I did. I annoyed the hell out of Cam, but
He's like, we're going to talk about this.
Yes,
We're gonna talk about
because
dirty talk.
I get a lot of people saying, I don't know how to dirty talk. Can you tell me? And I'm like, it's really hard for me to tell you how to dirty talk.
Right.
But let's.
Well,
You gave like 10 suggestions or 7 or something.
You know that it's also really about who you're with and that what's dirty with that person.
Yeah.
So, like, we have like our own little fun inside thing.
Yeah,
so
that nobody else can relate to.
Yeah.
But your article was kind of good for like a general tips.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's be silly. Don't be afraid to be silly, and don't be afraid to laugh. You're gonna laugh. The first time you dirty talk, you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
That's why I also
Because
suggest.
it sounds so fake.
Yeah, text
Yeah.
is magic because you can giggle and fall over laughing, and it'll still come across as like a sexy thing.
And
like
guys,
that
and
first
I can
time.
only speak for me, but the guys that I've been with, they love that stuff. Even like Skyping and all that.
Oh
I
yeah.
think the feeling, I think it's because when the other person you're with verbalizes that they're interested in you and
It's a
into
turn
this
on,
act,
yes,
it's
yes.
a huge turn on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
yes.
that is so underrated. Like
Yeah.
no one tells you like that's part of what makes good sex, to make sure the other person's aware you're in this thing with them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think
Especially if they compliment you on your private parts.
yes. Like,
Why are you laughing,
You
Cam?
call them private parts.
Oh,
I mean, in general, all the parts,
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
parts, you know.
well, especially
Public
the private
or
parts.
private
because
parts.
who else would compliment you on your vagina? You know what I'm saying?
Your
And everybody
gynecologist.
wants to have like.
I think that's it.
That's true. I didn't think about the gynecologist.
Is the gynecologist really going like you got a pretty pussy?
No, that would be highly unprofessional.
No, big,
Although one of my friends said that her gynecologist said she had the vagina of a 20-year-old. I'm like, what? That is
my
the biggest
God.
lie I've ever heard. No,
You think it's a lie?
that's a huge lie. You know her gynecologist didn't say that. You know what I'm talking about. There's no way her gynecologist said that.
it's her tagline now, though.
It's
Yeah.
a tagline.
My gynecologist says a pussy of a 20-year-old. Yeah. Anyway, so your tips on how to dirty talk.
Yes,
Great.
let's go through them.
So don't be afraid to be silly. Don't go like way out of your sphere. Like, don't try to use words you don't usually use.
like I want you to bukkake on me. Then like, what
Right.
the hell?
Like, I feel like people try to get really, like, keep it simple. Like, if you can't talk about that person, like, maybe you're not, like, you don't want to be like, oh, you're cock, blah, blah, blah. Talk about yourself like, I want. So, like, I want to be your dirty slut, or I want to be your dirty girl, or whatever.
Yeah.
Those things. And, like,
You also said ask questions.
ask questions, or, like, what do you want to do tonight?
Yeah.
Like, doing that, saying, what do you want to do tonight? Especially if you're in the midst of doing things. Like, my favorite thing to do is suck cock and chat. And especially because I have lovers.
That's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm.
But it
chatting
is.
cock.
I get
Suck, cock, and chat.
because yeah,
Just shouted that
whatever.
out in
We're
the
at a
hall.
sexuality conference. It's fine. But like I have a lot of lovers that don't live in the same state as me. So I see them when I'm traveling or whatever, and it's, do we have time to talk or do we have time to fuck? And we want to do both. So I'm like, I'm gonna suck your cock, and you're gonna tell me what you've been up to.
While he's doing that, or
Which is also, but it's also, then it becomes a game, because if you can talk, I'm not doing my job.
I went to
Oh,
my
wow.
accounting meeting, and we ended
No,
up.
but it'll be like, you know, like, oh, like, I've been working or whatever, but then you're sucking their and they're like, I
can't really speak right now.
I've been and it becomes a thing of like, first it's serious, we're talking, but I also like, it's a thing I enjoy. I like.
it's a great game.
Yeah, it's a great game, but it gives you a little chance. And then if it's somebody newish, or even somebody you've been with for a while, but maybe you've not had these conversations, because
Yeah, that's
people
kind
have
of
been
awkward,
together.
though. You've been together 10 years, and all of a sudden you start going, I don't know, fuck you like a racehorse.
Right, but then if you're doing like the cock and chat, so if you're like,
The cock and shit.
like, do you like it when I do it like this, and you like lick the tip? What's your favorite part? Is it when I do this or when I do that? And you're like going
I notice
all
your
around.
voice like goes down into like a
Yeah,
whisper.
you get a little breathy, looking up. They love when you look up at them if they're above you or in some way. Like looking over your eyelids is always a cute thing. It also just is an automatic. You just look sexy when you're doing that. And the breathy voice. Anything you say in a breathy voice.
Yeah, breathy voice. Cam, you gotta use a breathy voice.
Yeah,
Being
you're
a
like,
breathy voice.
you know what we need? We need milk.
Milk.
Right,
Did
milk.
you do the laundry today?
Laundry. You know, it's so hot. It's hot when you do the
Do you know
laundry.
did the dogs take 2 shits or 1 today?
But or just like things like that. But and that's part of the being silly and getting to know somebody who maybe you haven't gotten to know in that specific way, or I'd love to try this. Like, I read this in a magazine, and can I do this for you? And like talking, I love that.
And what about role playing?
Ooh. So again, stick to something simple. Like, don't get elaborate. Schoolgirl and teacher, or
I do that.
Yeah,
Not the schoolgirl teacher,
or
but I
nurse.
Yeah, I
nurse
like to do
or
that
doctor, nurse, doctor, patient, like that kind of
what
thing.
about masseuse, masseur?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Masseuse.
That one's
That's a good
great
one.
because everybody you can do
do
massage,
massage, yeah.
even if it's like not a great massage.
Yeah,
like
you could pretend to be like, oh, I can't speak English, but
right,
is this what you
or
want
they're
me
like, you're so tense and you're rubbing up, and your whole body is so tense, and like, oh, this part of your body is really tense.
to do? Yeah, but I'm gonna leave that alone for now.
Right. Yeah. Oh, look at you with holding. You're advanced. You're advanced.
I'm an advanced dirty talker. Thank you, Dirty Lola.
Oh, but I'll
If you need any tips for your next article, give me a call.
I'll call you.
My mom is twirling, playing with her hair right
so
now.
excited.
She's so excited.
So excited.
It's also flirty too.
It's flirty, or just it's helpful. Like last night with my partner, I like to watch porn. Porn is like the thing that usually helps me get completely out of my head. So if I'm having a hard time,
what type of porn do you like?
I like daddy porn. It's always like
Oh.
daddy, dirty daddy
We
porn.
just had a little.
Yeah.
We had a whole
podcast about
episode about this.
So I
Why did-
enjoy that.
yeah,
And why do you
this is
think
so
that you like
popular?
daddy porn?
I don't know. Well, it's usually because it's the scenarios and the way people talk in them, and I like.
They're
so
hilarious.
the partner, I was about to put it. I was like, help me, but I'm probably gonna watch porn because I was having a little trouble orgasming. And he goes, well, what kind of porn are you gonna watch? I'm like, daddy porn. And he gets right in my ears. He goes, oh, you mean you're gonna come for daddy? And I like dropped my phone, and I was like,
Who's your daddy?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, you're gonna be a bad girl, because bad girls don't come. Good girls come for their daddy. And it was
God.
he
Oh,
would
he
just
went
drop
right into that.
into it, but I didn't even need the porn, because the thing that I needed was to get out of my head, and he totally got me there.
Wow.
With this deep, husky, like in my ear. And when you watch daddy porn, you get a lot of that. You get a lot of them like
Can you do that?
talking
daddy porn?
dirty.
So, I've never done a daddy thing, but there's room for that in my future.
It's also the taboo. Like,
Yeah.
this is naughty. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to be doing this.
Right,
That's
right,
what, you know,
right.
and that's what I like about fantasies, that you can go there, you can
Right.
do any kind of, like, number one fantasy for women is rape fantasy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you're gonna want to be raped.
Right. Well, because it's also the safety of knowing that this is not really happening, and
Yeah.
I'm consenting. It's consensual non-consent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they call it within the kink community, is consensual non-consent. Because a lot of people don't
Consensual
like the R, like they don't,
Yeah.
I don't say the R word, but it's because I'm consenting to not giving my consent, and it's kind of like a thing you agree to before, but then after that it's
totally.
it's like
off the
kidnapping
table.
fantasies. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be kidnapped, but I don't want to really be kidnapped.
Right.
But I want somebody to kidnap me. Just don't tell me about it. Like, I have friends who do that.
I heard about this.
Yes.
Did you write about that too?
I didn't write about it, but I should. But I have friends who do that. They basically, it's like you set it and it's in the air, and you never know.
Did we not talk
Oh,
about this?
You'll never
before?
know.
I feel
No,
like
I've
we
never
just talked.
heard-
Yeah.
heard
Oh
of
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
It
That's
was
wild.
like
They
the
did it for a
wildest
friend.
experience that they've ever had was when a woman and her husband's friend kidnapped her.
Oh my God.
She loved it.
Because you put it out there, and it's always in the back of your head, but you're gonna forget.
And you don't know when it's going to happen.
Don't know when it's gonna happen. So that's been
Would you like that, Kat?
one of my things.
Are you kidding me? I'd shit my pants. I
He
would be
would-
out
he'd
of
go into
my-
fight
I
or
might kill
flight.
someone.
You would kill someone.
I could
They're
do a fight
setting-
or flight thing, and next thing you know, I have
Yeah.
murdered this friend.
I've
who I asked
broken
to-
everybody's neck.
Yes.
You forgot that you had
Yes.
prearranged this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a year later, somebody
This
comes
would be a
and.
big fear for me.
Oh my goodness.
I
Yeah.
live in fear.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so like I don't really want to be kidnapped, but it's the scenario of like somebody taking you or being so all about you that they like.
Those
need
are my
to
favorite erotica
scoop you
stories.
up. Yeah,
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Cool. I feel like we're in a little bit of the deep end right now.
Yes, we
Can
are.
I get us to the challenge for a couple questions?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, you say you don't even. All right. I'll start with my own experience. When I was first getting sexually active, I was not vocal at all. Maybe because there was shame there, or maybe I just wasn't comfortable, so I wasn't going to vocalize any of my pleasure or anything
Right.
like that. To the point where my partner was like,
Are Are you alive?
Are you
Are you
enjoying
here?
this? Have you even come yet? And I was like, yeah, like 20 minutes ago.
You were silent.
Silent mime.
And that's okay too.
It's not great.
I mean, it's okay. Like I had a partner. It is hard to calibrate to somebody who is super silent in their lovemaking, which I had a partner who was, and it was like, I don't know if you're orgasming or if that was just a deep sigh. Like
Right.
what is happening? And it's
Yeah.
hard. And it's like I don't want to say like you must make noise because some people just aren't interested in it. But it is a hard thing to calibrate yourself to.
Yeah.
But I think if you know, like I think we had talked about it. So he had said like I'm really quiet. So like,
Yeah.
just don't think that I'm not.
He might be in his own
But
head.
I had one of those moments of like he's like yeah I came like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Just,
It was just
Yeah.
for sure a learning experience
Yeah.
for me.
Mhm.
And then I was like, oh, of course they want to know that I'm alive and well.
right.
You know?
Alive and well.
You know?
If you didn't go into some sort of
Right.
out-of-body experience or something.
Right. So how do you get though to like, especially if you're with someone new, how do you start introducing the idea of dirty talk? Even before, do you just start doing it, or do you just kind of?
Okay, so for me with new people, it's part of my conversations. Like I go on dates, and especially if we've already kind of hinted at that we would like to hook up, usually that conversation over like dinner or drinks or whatever is about like what we're into,
Yeah.
what we're into and what our expectations are. Because like I like to lay out like either if I'm like, hey, I'm not looking for a bang and leave. Like if you're never gonna call me again, like you know, just be honest. Like sometimes I'm down for that, but maybe that's just not where I am right now.
Mhm.
Or like this is what I like to do. Or I'm not looking for anything serious. I'm just looking for like whatever friends with benefits. Here's the stuff I'm into, and I kind of lead with that because while I don't need my kinks met in order to enjoy sex. When I'm not having them met with other partners, then I'm like, I need this, and this is what I'm looking for. I don't need more of the same. So are you into this or? You into this or not? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's part of the conversation. And then if you're like super shy or like I don't know how to make words about sex, I like yes, no, maybe list.
Oh.
Oh, let's
So,
see. Yes, no, maybe. This
If you Google them, they're mostly used in BDSM in that
like a
community.
contract, like a 50
It's not even a contract. It's literally a list of acts. And then it's usually like if you want to be the bottom of the top in that, and if you are a yes, no, or maybe like yes is I am
We need t-shirts made of
enthusiastically
those.
into this. Maybe is I am intrigued, but I don't know if I really want to do it, but I want to learn more. And no is like no, this is like not something
Gotcha.
I want to do.
Okay.
And so those are really good because you can find ones now that are, I'd say, a little more like they're not like hardcore BDSM. They're a little more, I won't even say vanilla, but they're more on the spectrum of stuff. So it's like, do you like hand jobs? Do you like golden showers? Do you like, you know?
That would be the negative.
Right.
No.
Well, right. So for you, be a no. Somebody might write a maybe. But I like them
would you
because
write
they.
For me, it would be a resounding yes.
Yeah, you like.
No, just.
you're
Oh
like-
my
it
God,
no,
Kim,
no,
I was
not
like,
He's
at
what?
telling the truth. No.
You know
But
what they
it's-
always say
What? What do they always say?
that there's truth in
behind every joke.
truth and lies.
Got it.
But I like them because they spark conversation.
Yeah.
So, because you're not supposed to talk, you're supposed to fill out your own and then trade them.
Where do you get these little lists?
You can print them out right online. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
the first time I did it with 3 different parts. Like we were all hanging out, and as like an activity, we all did yes, no, maybe list, and it
Oh,
was because we
wow.
traded them, and then we read them out loud, and it was like, oh, I didn't know you would be into that. Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay. Like, what do you need to like? You want to try? Like, you want to?
Is this like for group sex or individual?
Just individual. It just happened that we were just being fun and like, hey, let's do this thing.
This is great to hear. I mean, I think we're still in the deep end.
Mhm,
with
we
it,
are.
you
We
know,
are.
Yeah,
because
that's
even
pretty
getting
deep,
to the
Cam.
point of having conversations all about sex, I think even outside of the bedroom is extremely hard for most people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we get this question all the time. How do I introduce the idea of anal sex, even oral
But you
sex?
have to talk. Well, and my thing is like, if it's too hard to talk about, you shouldn't be doing it.
Oh wow.
You can't have an expectation of something if you can't even talk about it.
I
Oh,
love
but-
that.
but that-
Well, because you can't. Anal sex is not something that you just spring on somebody. Like, first of all,
But if you can't bring it up at all, even if like at the your initial reaction would be like no,
Right.
But then after you start talking about it and communicating about
Right.
like, well, what if we tried just like a finger at first?
Right.
You know? I think eventually you can go there.
But
It
that's
just,
talking about it. So
Yeah.
people don't want to talk. People like, how do I get my wife to be into it? And then you're like, oh,
You've
cool.
got to talk about
You have
it.
to first you ask,
Yeah.
and first you make it very clear that it's okay if they say no.
Yeah.
And then you make it very clear that you don't necessarily need to start with your penis, but you maybe start with some other things. But then people don't want to do that. Nobody ever wants to do the long game to getting into something. Like they want to ask for anal sex and then be able to get it.
Yeah.
Like right
Yeah.
away. And,
Yeah,
and
it's not very sexy to have a whole discussion
it's
about it.
not. And I get work at a sex shop. So we get a lot of people who come in, what do I need to buy to get my wife into anal sex? And I give them
The
a pack
baseball
of,
bat?
no, I give them a pack of gloves. And I'm like, lube. And they're like, what's this? I'm like, if you want to put anything in their butt, the two of you need to sit down. And this is where you start with your
That's a
fingers.
great call.
And you also need to be willing for them to ask to do it back to you. And if you aren't willing to
Oh,
have it done,
wow.
then you don't, then you shouldn't, then you don't get it. Because another rule of BDSM and all the tops I've had, I've never been hit with anything that the person who hit me with it hadn't hit themselves with it
Wow.
first.
Yeah, that's like
Wow.
50 Shades of Grey.
Because you won't know the power behind. So if you buy like a metal bar, like people do that, like they hit with that, you don't know the kind of force or what it's going to do unless you've hit yourself
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
and or done some kind of test, because you don't know like any of that. So I feel like when we ask people to do things, but then they don't want to reciprocate or explore that thing too. Like we have the DJ Khaled thing right now where he's like, I don't eat pussy. But I adore my wife in other ways. I'm like, but eating pussy is like ultimate adoration. And if
Yeah.
you expect oral sex, then
Yeah.
why wouldn't you
Fuck
give
who
it?
said
Who said that?
DJ Khaled, he's like
She
I
made
did
a skit once
we did
all
a,
about
what do you mean
this.
she?
Oh.
You were in the skit.
I was in the
we did a
skit.
skit where we had these rappers. We had these guys pretend they were rappers because
Right.
there's certain rappers that were very anti going down on a girl. And we're like,
And
I
that's always
was
the
like,
thing.
you mean to tell me you won't eat pussy, but you want to have a blowjob?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah.
Get out of here.
Because it's like, why would you expect something that you're not even willing to give? And then what, even your reasoning for not being willing to give it, because then I think that also opens it up to like the apprehension your partner may be having.
Totally.
Yeah.
This is especially dicey now. I mean, not dicey, but more men are experiencing this my friends,
Right.
when their girlfriends are like, oh, you expected to do anal stuff with me, let's try
Yeah.
it with you.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, wait a minute, guys don't do anal.
Yes,
What are
they
you
do
doing?"
all the time.
Right.
So many guys do anal.
Yeah,
Right.
but I don't know that I agree with that. I think that sometimes it's okay if just maybe she wants to have the anal.
But what if she doesn't? Or what if
No,
the whole
if
thing
she
is,
does, if she wants it.
But I think it's fair to say I really am not into this, but you are. But also, it would make me more comfortable if you would
tried
be
it.
willing to try it.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like, orifices are orifices, butts are butts. It doesn't, putting
Yeah,
something
no,
in
I
your
agree
butt
with you.
doesn't change your sexuality. I make the analogy all the time. I'm like, by that, you know, if you think that, then all women are lesbians who like to have their pussy eaten. Or like,
Yeah.
if you like to have your pussy, that makes you a lesbian because that's the kind of sex act. You're like, no. So butt stuff, and men actually have a
Great
prostate.
orgasms, yeah.
Well, because they have a prostate. So
Right.
it's like you actually have a nerve back there. For women, you can get pleasure out of it, and it's usually because it's bumping on our G-spot. Because the G-spot and the prostate are just literally the same thing, but just in different places. It's just when you
Interesting.
were formed, it just moved. It's the bundle of
I
nerves.
never knew
P-spot.
this.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it?
the
This
P
kid?
spot.
Oh, yeah.
Because we all start out the
educated.
same before our
Yeah, of course.
genitals.
Yeah,
So
Like a clit is a mini penis, so.
right, yeah, it is. So all of that, it just forms one way or another depending on how your chromosomes fall. So, and I tell them that, and then I also follow it up with like, you could try the butt stuff now, or you're gonna try it when you're older, because when you have to start doing things for prostate health, you end up having to milk your prostate. Like that's part of prostate health, especially if you have a prostate problem. You have to actually milk your own prostate or do something. That's how Aneros, the sex toy company, got started. They made medical devices for prostate health. And people started writing them letters and going, am I supposed to be having orgasms?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they were like,
I thought
oh,
I
we
was
got
just
something.
checking my prostate. I'm
Right.
having these
So I'm like,
major
you can do it
orgasms.
now and get the pleasure and make a choice to enjoy this pleasure, and give yourself the health benefit of it ahead of time, or you can do it when you're forced to, and now you're gonna have to deal with this whole other thing, that this stigma you've placed on yourself. So
Right.
I have these deep conversations all the time.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I am convinced this is the next wave,
Yeah.
the next progression we're going to see in male or
Yeah.
But I
penis
also think
pleasure.
that if a guy just doesn't want to do it,
Of course.
it's okay.
Yes, but then
doesn't
he
have
shouldn't
to.
pressure his partner to do
He
it.
shouldn't pressure his partner, but maybe if he suggests it and she wants to do it, it is okay if he
Yeah.
doesn't try it. If they want to do it, and that's how it ends up happening.
Yeah, of course. But I
Yeah.
feel like if the caveat is I don't
Yeah.
want to do it unless you want to do it, then you just drop it.
Right. It says exit only. You drop it.
Yeah.
We have to wrap up here soon.
Okay.
Oh
But,
no, I want her to stay.
I feel like
okay.
people have been asking questions or
Oh,
making
should we
comments.
try to see some of these
I don't
questions?
know. I just
Well,
saw
I
I
had
saw a
one-
bunch of things popping up.
I had one question for you.
Okay.
Well, I think with regard to your discussion about slut and taking claim for this word, I've seen for men the reverse, where because that double standard exists where men are supposed to
Right.
always be having sex, their insecurity comes from not having the libido to want that sex.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that can sometimes be like guys questioning, oh my God, am I gay? You know, what's wrong with me?
Right.
I should be wanting, maybe I'm low T.
Right. I mean, you could be. I mean, these are I wish more people, instead of going straight to like I'm gay or I'm broken, it's like maybe I am having a low testosterone moment. Maybe I need to talk to my doctor.
Maybe I'm
It could be
depressed.
depression. Yeah. 'Cause
Maybe I'm
there are signs for that.
medications that prohibit you from having
Exactly,
like,
because sex
sex
drive is a part of like one. It's as we get over, it wanes and flows, especially for women. And
Tell me about it.
We go through peaks. Like the whole thing is you hit 30, you get like your second like ride at
Yeah.
it. You go through your teenagehood all over again, and I can attest to that.
Oh,
How
yeah.
old are you?
I'm 36.
Oh,
and
there
at
you're
like
the
at
height.
like 30, 31, it was really like I'm on fire. Like where's the dick? Like
Oh
let's
my
go.
God.
Apparently, you went through it this weekend.
Yeah, well, I know. I've been having so much fun. But then I think for men, it's one, starting that conversation that like listen to your body, and if that's not happening, it's not necessarily you're broken. Maybe your body's going through something, and maybe it could be you're working too much, you're tired, you're stressed out, you haven't gone on a vacation forever.
This happens to me every
You have
time.
sleep apnea. Like sleep apnea causes sex problems, and
Yeah.
so many people have sleep apnea and don't know about it.
I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
sleep deprivation.
Sleep
is
deprivation. Well, because
definitely
that's
an issue,
sleep
yeah.
apnea. You're
Yeah.
not even sleeping.
Right,
You
you
think
keep
you're
waking up,
sleeping.
yep.
Right.
And so all these things, it's like I wish people, the same way when like you get a twinge in your shoulder, you think you're dying, and you go to like WebMD, and you're like, what's wrong
How
with
do you
me?
know Cam?
Right. So you do that,
I live on
but you
WebMD,
immediately
yeah.
go to you're like, I got to talk to a doctor because I got like this thing. When our sex drives go down, we don't go, I got to go talk to a doctor.
Yeah, yeah.
We immediately blame ourselves and start feeling lesser than, instead of what could be causing this. Maybe it is something I should talk to my doctor about, because it could be a myriad of things. Like it could be a symptom and not like that this is your new everything.
Is it also the case that some people might just have lower sex
Yeah,
drives?
yeah, and that happens, and that's fine. Like there are people who have low sex drives, and they get it when they get it, and they don't when they don't, and that's a thing too, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It's totally okay.
Everything is okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug for our audience to
Ooh,
know?
what about,
So
so much
excited.
pressure. No, so you can find me on Twitter at Dirty Lola. My show is Sex at a Go-Go, sexatagogo.com. You can find out more about me and the show there. And then, yeah, I think
It
that's,
rocks. For
yeah.
our listeners, it really rocks, so you should check it out.
Thanks.
Yeah. How did you get the name Dirty Lola?
It was my legal middle name is Lolita. My mom apparently saw my future, and then when I was signing up for Twitter, I tried to do a variation. Like, also my favorite book is Lolita, because
Yeah, I know the one,
so
the Russian
daddy
novel.
porn,
Yeah,
yeah. And
yeah.
so, daddy
Oh,
porn,
I see where you got that.
and then I think the variations, nothing fit, but Dirty Lola did, and so that's what I do.
That rocks.
And it works. It works.
Totally works.
Yeah.
You'll never forget.
Nope.
Have
Dirty
you
Lola.
ever been walked in on by a parent or vice versa?
Yes, I've walked in on my mom and my stepdad, because
Were you traumatized?
well, it was mostly because her room didn't have a door. She
Well, that would-
she made the dining room and like her bedroom so that we could all have our own bedrooms.
That was nice.
nice.
And like the curtain wasn't pulled, and like they were being really quiet until I got all the way down and around the corner, and then turned around and went back up the stairs.
Oh, man.
And I walked in on my little sister, but I haven't been walked in on it.
Oh,
I think my
man.
sister no, that's a lie. I think my little sister walked in on me
Oh.
once when I was a teenager. Yeah.
We
Not
ask this
terrible.
to all our listeners.
Yeah.
We get some really fun comments.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you very, very much
Thank you
for
for
joining
having
us.
me. This
Yeah,
was fun.
rock.
This was fun.
Oh, we love you,
So
Dirty
good.
Lola.
You're a firecracker. I enjoy you.
I am a firecracker.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Awesome.
That was wonderful. All right, our
So
YouTubers.
fun.
Hope you like that. Bye.
Bye.
Cam was here, by the way. Well, you're blurry too. Why are you blurry? There he is. Bye, guys.
I'm so happy.